This is Backstage Bay Area. Now, here's your host, Steve Roby.
This is Backstage Bay Area, your all-access pass to the local music scene. I'm Steve Roby. Today we're joined by Hector Flores from East L.A.'s Las Cafeteras, a collective that fuses community folk music from Veracruz with hip-hop, dance, and spoken word. They're bringing Dia de los Muertos, production of Hasta La Muerte, to a minor auditorium in San Francisco, and we're excited to go inside the music and the meaning. Hector Flores, welcome to Backstage Bay Area. It's great to have you here.
Brother Steve, it's good to be here, man. And I love the Bay.
All right.
And you know, sometimes there's a little beef between LA and the Bay, but I don't like beef because I'm a vegetarian. You know what I mean, Steve?
Me too, man. Anyway, before we get into the show that's coming to Minor Auditorium in San Francisco this Friday, Halloween, let's talk about the origins of Las Cafeteras and how did the band come together?
You know, we actually met as a group of activists and friends. I was an organizer, and Denise was an organizer at the East L.A. campus. I was working for the California Faculty Association, and we were fighting for student rights, immigrant rights, gender justice, and there was a lot of really beautiful spaces in L.A. that were really cultivating community, solidarity, and justice. I'll throw out Casa de Pueblo, Corazón de Pueblo, East Side Cafe. And we came together to learn a folk style of music as a way to play protest. And this music was called Son Jarocho, this music from Veracruz. And we fell in love with it. We fell in love with the poetry, the singing, the call and response. And we started writing our own verses. And we eventually, over time, from student activists and a collective, we kind of started becoming a band without even knowing it. I was very against being a band because at first, because, you know, band had like, oh, if you're a band, then you're sort of like going for fame or for money.
Sure.
And that wasn't our intention. Our intention was to build solidarity. And so I would say we're a horizontally structured, community powered, you know, musical project, you know? And then one day I said, all right, we're a band.
All right. You know? Well, let's talk about the music the band produces. Your sound blends a variety of genres. What makes that mix click for you on stage?
You know, I think one is particularly because I'm a LA boy, and so LA it's so rich in culture and music. So even though we fell in love with this folk music, I grew up with hip hop, with cumbia. I felt like the hip hop artists that I was listening, you know, like Tupac and Warren G, they were wordsmiths, they were storytellers,
right? And
that's because of them is why I started writing poetry in high school, right? Writing my own story. And even to this day, a lot of the songs that we write as Cafeteras comes from poems and poetry that I write around my living experience and our collective experience as children of immigrants or like kids who are in love or, you know, things like that. But I feel LA really allowed us to sort of not be in a box.
Sure.
And that might be different from maybe somewhere else, right? And because, you know, as Mexican folks, we're mixed peoples, you know, so we don't come from one place. We come from many cultures,
right?
Many cities. And so it just makes sense that so does our music.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's switch gears and talk about your 2-act production of Hasta La Muerte. What inspired the creation of this show? And was there a moment when you knew it was going to be a full theatrical presentation?
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story.
Okay.
It was actually the movie Coco. And because I didn't want to go see the movie because I didn't want to see Mexican culture represented poorly. I'd seen what Disney had done with movies like Pocahontas and other things, very stereotypical. But I got free tickets and I said, okay, I'm going to go see it so I can hate on this movie for real.
Okay.
And I saw the film and I cried 3 times.
Wow.
It was done very well. And then I later learned that they got a lot of consultation from Mexican storytellers, artists, songwriters. But walking out of that film, the thought that came to me was, why is Disney writing songs and stories about my culture and I am not? And it kind of lit a fire in me. And so that night I went home and I stayed up all night and I penned the skeleton to a song called Hasta La Muerte, a Day of the Dead song called Hasta La Muerte, about a love that exists even in death. Even I will love you even in the afterlife, you know? And that song became the seed to a larger production of storytelling.
Wow.
Because coming out of that theater, I'm like, we actually have, as Chicano kids and children of immigrants, we have a particular perspective on Mexican culture and Chicano culture and sort of, and also traditions, how they clash. So it's a Day of the Dead production, full on, 5 dancers, 4 musicians, visuals, stories, poems, but it's also a social commentary on the death of innocence, the death of justice in many ways. When I first started writing it, that was not the intent, but it really evolved into that. And we use Mexican characters and folklore to tell a different story. You know, I use the character of La Catrina, and I make her into the saint of the dead, La Santa de los Muertos. And almost like a Santa Claus figure who comes once a year, right? Santa Claus comes on the 25th of every year. In this story, La Santa de los Muertos, La Catrina, comes every day of the dead, and she finds spirits that have not reached the afterlife.
Oh, okay.
And she helps them get there. And then she comes to also support the living, people like us, to let us know that our dead are okay, right? And so she follows it's vignettes of different stories and characters of La Llorona. She goes to find La Bruja. She finds the migrants crossing the border. And she goes to help these spirits and individuals get to where they need to go, right? And it's done beautifully through choreography, traditional choreography, and modern dance. And I think we did a really, really wonderful job.
It sounds beautiful. Some of the notes for the production say that it explores grief through a Chicana feminist lens. And, you know, of course, like you were saying, mixes dance and music and narrative to honor the ancestors and community loss. How do you communicate that to audiences? As you know, I'm sure it'll go over well in San Francisco, but how do you communicate that to a general audience?
So you identify something that people are already familiar with, right? So that's why using Mexican folklore, things that already exist, helps us make a connection. For example, La Llorona is the Mexican folklore of the weeping woman, a story where a woman killed her children and spends eternity, right, in regret. And our parents would tell us at night, when you would hear the wind wail, that's not the wind, that's Llorona crying out, right, in regret and looking for her children. That's a story that we learned, and that many Mexican folks and many traditions have a very similar story. We tell the story, though, almost as if the La Llorona did not commit this crime, but she was blamed for it. And now she spends eternity, right, in this purgatory space, and she's singing to La Santa to come save her. And at the end of this vignette, this story, La Santa comes, La Catrina, and says, I know you didn't do this, and I'm ready to take you home, right? Like, we take this narrative, because to be honest, Steve, who do you think wrote a story about a woman killing her children and spending eternity in regret? It was probably a man, right? And who are the people today who are creating laws, policing women's bodies, blaming women, right, for things such as abortions or their own choices? It's men making these decisions.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, so like there's layers to these stories, and kind of like the kids say, if you know, you know, right? And so there's a lot of layers to it. And so depending on where you're at and how much you know, like, you might get the superficial story, which I think is a wonderful song, wonderful character, wonderful storytelling. But if there's also layers to this, I think people will be able to appreciate as they follow the story of La Santa, as she visits La Llorona,
Absolutely.
as she visits La Bruja, as she visits a migrant who's only trying to find a better life, and maybe it doesn't make it.
Flor que quiere el sol, como el mar quiere el calor, como el cupido va enamorando con un flechazo al corazón, como la abeja a la miel, este amor a flor de piel, como el aire quiere el suspiro, estaré siempre contigo, amor. Te quiero más que nunca, te quiero hasta siempre, te doy toda mi vida, amor hasta la muerte. Te quiero más que nunca, te quiero hasta siempre, te quiero y como te quiero, amor hasta la muerte. Como el olor a flor dorada, con tu cara bien pintada, como tus ojos van cautivando con un vistazo al corazón, como la ofrenda y el altar, te seguiré a cualquier lugar, como el aire quiere el suspiro, estaré siempre contigo, amor, amor, te quiero más que nunca, te quiero hasta siempre, te doy toda mi vida, amor hasta la muerte. Quiero más que nunca, te quiero hasta siempre, te quiero y como te quiero, amor hasta la muerte. Ni la tumba podrá separar, ni la tierra, eres mi libertad, ni pistolas, ni la guerra, hasta la eternidad. Te quiero más que nunca, te quiero hasta siempre, te doy toda mi vida, amor hasta la muerte. Te quiero más que nunca, te quiero hasta siempre, te quiero y como te quiero, amor hasta la muerte.
Let's pivot now to what Bay Area audiences can look forward to from your Halloween night performance at Minor Auditorium. Who's joining you on stage at the show, and what roles or instruments should we be listening for?
Oh my goodness, we're gonna have a beautiful. So we have various dancers from different companies. The Ballet Folclórico de Águilas from Casa L.A. But we also, our musicians are a beautiful array of folks from different places. Our guitar player, he is a master musician, and he's going to be bringing the leona, which is it's a 4-string bass from Veracruz, Mexico. He's going to be bringing his requinto, a 4-string melody, and his jarana. He's also luthier. So every instrument that you see him play, he actually built. He built my instrument, my jarana, and Denise's instrument. So he is a master of his craft, master of the music. And I think he's a really great gem to this production. We're also having, tarima. We're also having percussive instruments that are both native. We have some Afro-Colombian percussion instrumentation. And then also because, with Chicano kids from LA, we love mixing the folk with the modern and a little bit of this electronic sort of sonic scape, right? Mm-hmm. So almost taking our past to the present and sort of listening to the future at the same time. And so I love our musical director, Moises Paquero from Mexico City, really helped create a soundscape for this production that is both connected to our past as it is to our future. And I love what he did. And so I think folks are really going to really get a sense of how we're trying to take folk music to the future.
Interesting. God, I can't wait, man. What a great description. Are you encouraging the audience to come in costume to the show?
Yes. Both, right? It's Halloween.
Yeah.
And, again, we're not in a box, Steve.
Yeah.
We love people to express themselves in all the ways. As we do as artists, we want everybody to do that. So in costume for either Halloween or also a little teaser to the Day of the Dead festivities. If you want to come with faces painted, with skeleton costumes, with hats. We've started this tour in Merced, California on October 8th, have made it our way to San Diego, LA, Arizona, Oklahoma City. We're now in New Mexico. And every show, people come out dressed and painted and bring cempasúchil flowers. It's been wonderful.
Wow.
To see the participation of audience. So Bay Area, come on now. Get. I want to see y'all dressed up. Okay.
Oh, we'll represent. No doubt about that. Yeah. I'm curious. Is there a soundtrack available, or a cast recording, or is there something coming along the lines?
Yes. The beautiful thing, and sometimes things are not always created on time. Our vinyl was held back. I'm hoping that our vinyl will be ready by this Wednesday to be shipped for our Bay Area shows.
Wow.
So we have a vinyl that will be sold only at the shows. We'll have a limited edition that will be signed by cast and crew.
Wow.
But but we don't have CDs, and it's all the music. Some things are on streaming platforms like our version of La Llorona and Hasta La Muerte, but a lot of the songs in production will be on the vinyl and are not available on online. And so you will only be able to get them in person or online after the tour.
Interesting. Okay, so line up at the merch table after the show or before the show, yeah?
Get it, Steve.
Get it, hold on to it, yeah. Let me remind our listeners, Las Cafeteras, Hasta La Muerte is happening this Friday, Halloween, October 31st at 7:30 p.m. at Minor Auditorium in San Francisco. Tickets are available now at sfjazz.org. For more on the band, visit lascafeteras.com. And before I let you go, what's in store for the band in the coming year?
My goodness, we are already planning a beautiful tour of the East Coast and Midwest next year. We'll be back also in the Central Valley and Santa Barbara. So definitely follow us on our streaming platforms. And we're looking at taking this production, Hasta La Muerte, which is only done once a year. We're going to be taking it to the East Coast next year. So we're really excited about that. It'll be our first time.
Wow. I wish you lots of success, Hector, and thank you so much, and can't wait for you to get here in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Brother Steve, I'll see you soon, my friend.
Thank you for tuning into the Backstage Bay Area podcast. Don't forget to visit us online at backstagebayarea.com for more insights and stories. Be sure to join us next time for more engaging conversations with local talent and touring musicians. Until then, keep the music alive, and we'll see you backstage.